shit my pants last night. I did. When was the last time you shit your pants?
Me?
Yeah. Been a while?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
A champion from the West. A legend of the East. A competition that went too far.
There's been too much violence, too much pain.
Now, to survive, you must destroy. For honor.
Let us gingerly touch our tips.
For love.
It will be nice. I think you will love it.
For justice.
The law's on my side.
The power of a warrior.
JD.
The heart of a champion.
Thunder.
He likes the way I talk, and I like the way he talks.
This is Stack of Dimes. Stack of Dimes. Stack of Dimes. Stack of Dimes.
Stack of Dimes. We are the podcast that comes to your school during assemblies, and you're like, "Oh my God, that's the podcast that my parents watch on TV, on the news. These guys, they've got a show on Sundays. This is amazing." And then you interact with us, and then you're like, No, it's just a dude. It's not that amazing at all. But goddamn, I'm going to tell everybody that I met the Stack of Dimes podcast at my school assembly.
And they're like, "Oh man, look at those guys! Look, wow, they drove away in a 1988 Honda Accord. That's kind of weird, huh?"
Exactly.
I thought they were like big timers.
Did you see his slacks? There was like a stain right in the ass crack. Oh man, his fly was unzipped the entire time. Did you see one of his shoes had was taller than the other?
Yeah, he's got a hip thing going, I think.
Something's going on.
Something.
He's got spinal meningitis or something. I don't know.
Dude, if they saw me this week, I literally, Thunder, I woke up Saturday night. I woke up in the middle of the night. I knew it was coming. I could feel it coming, babe, as the weekend would say. On Saturday, I told Amanda, I was like, "I'm getting a hernia under the skin nose zit. I'm getting one of those hernia zits."
I just thought you said the way you said that. I'm getting a hernia is what it sounded like.
I'm getting one of those. I'm getting one of those zits. I can feel it. Like you just feel the dull kind of ache, and then you rub your nose, and you're like, "Ooh, that shot a lightning bolt into my frontal lobe. What's going on there?" And then literally. Midnight, 1 a.m. I wake up and I'm like, it's like throbbing. It's like wah 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 wah, just like throbbing. I'm like dying. I was like, fuck, man, this thing's killing me. This really hurty under the skin. Go back to sleep. Wake up in the morning, and I had this is a way long story, long walk for a short dive, as you would say. I was selling some shit to a dude on Craigslist. I was like, I got to drive and go meet this guy at 9:30 Sunday morning, and I'm getting ready. And it's like, you know what? I haven't looked in the mirror. I'm kind of on my way. I'm going to take a selfie of myself, see what's going on with my nose here. And I was like, oh, Jesus. It's like Mount Vesuvius. It's just like this. It's not under the skin anymore. It's out. It's loud and it's proud. And it was massive. And literally, I didn't go in. I was going to go into the office on Monday. I was like, I can't do it. This thing looks like a goddamn, it looks like an M80 went off on my face.
You called in sick, or you worked from home?
No, I just
because
worked
of your
from
fucking
home.
zit?
I can just work from home. But I probably would have worked from home anyways, but this definitely convinced me. It's like, yeah, I'm not going in. This thing's ridiculous looking. So the kids at your hypothetical school assembly would have been like, what was going on with his face? What's wrong with your face?
Yeah, they would have judged the shit out of us. I mean, they would have just looked at us up and down and just noticed every flaw that we have. Because that's what I did when Bruce King came to our high school, or our elementary school, I think it was. So I don't think it was high school at that point.
So, the jumping off for all of this is that you and I and Luke Burbank from the TBTL podcast, first of all, we bonded over local celebrities.
Yes.
That's when we first met. That's how we just had all three of us had a love of local celebrities and doing impersonations of local celebrities and local radio personalities and whatnot.
But I think also we had an understanding that the whole thing is kind of ridiculous. You know what I mean? We enjoyed it because it's ridiculous. It's you know these guys from local TV, and local TV is typically pretty bad, even to this day. I mean, if you watch someone like Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, he does a bit every week where it just highlights the ridiculous shit that keeps getting repeated on local news, and it's just so bad. And even back then, it was, so I mean, it wasn't like we were bonding over the fact that we like thought they were amazing journalists or something. It was,
no, we were bonding over the fact that we liked it in a very 90s way, like ironically.
Yes, ironically.
Right? Like it was like
this,
liking a. It was like liking an infomercial or something. It was like liking Don Lepre. I was like, oh man, I love Don Lepre, and then we just do the voice over and over.
But also really enjoyed watching it though, right? Like it's like,
oh yeah,
there's an absurdity to this, and there's an unself-awareness of it or whatever, and then it's so you appreciate it, but then also you're entertained by it. But yes, we bonded instantly over that.
Yeah, but there's like anything you like ironically, you also kind of also just like it. Yeah, unironically, you know what I mean? Like my guilty pleasure is Van Damme films, but also yes, I also just like them.
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
But there was some of that, and I think the local like local newscasters, local sports guys, local radio talent, like Seattle had a show called like Northwest Afternoon, which was like their version of like a Donahue, I guess, or something.
Yeah,
I don't even know what was it.
Well,
like it was like it was like a talk show in the afternoon that was just like Northwest celebs and topics.
Yeah. And I think that every probably, decent sized market had something like that where they'd have their wannabe sort of Good Morning America, or if not that, then they'd have the afternoon show, which was this, where they talk about like the soaps and shit like that. I think, I think there was kind of a format, but then again, back then it's not like you would see things from other markets unless you like traveled somewhere, which was rare for me, and flipped on the TV and just happened to find.
And when you saw it in another market, it was like if you went to like your aunt and uncle's house and they had got like Portland TV or something, you're like, what is this abomination?
Yeah.
What are they showing? Turn this off. I can't watch. It was unwatchable because like these aren't the friendly faces I'm familiar with. Like I can't watch this, which is like. Now you get everything everywhere all the time. Like you can watch any look at this clip of this show from Florida. But like back then that was like those folks, and this is going to sound super corny, but there's a little bit like, like we would have the news on during dinner and shit like that. Yeah. It was almost like, it was like a part of your house. Well, there's Dan Lewis, there's Kathy Gertson, there's whoever, Steve Poole. It was like they were like part of your daily routine. You would see like, oh, what's Steve up to today? And that guy, that kooky guy.
The thing that was funny about that, too, was like you weren't, especially at a young age, you weren't necessarily interested in most of the stuff that was on the news. But since your parents were watching it and that was the only thing that was on while you were like shoveling peas in your mouth or whatever, you couldn't help but know the personalities after a while.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck all what they're talking about. I don't know what the convergent zone is, Steve, but I'm still fascinated by Steve Poole for some reason, right?
Yeah, I can only, the mind can only wonder what the fuck a school net is, but it's important when it comes to the weather. You got to have these school nets.
All right. Fucking S curves. Goddamn S curves are
S-curves in Renton.
And just
Renton,
completely plugged up, the S curves.
When there was always like the one kooky segment or something they did, like, oh, they're going to do they're going to do the Little Heroes. I got to watch
Eric's
that.
Little Heroes.
My favorite.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, but like, so now, like, now you and, again, the jumping off point for this episode, like you and Luke and I, anytime there's like and we're at a phase now where like there's a whole new regime of like local celebs, all the folks from like the 90s and early aughts, or 80s and 90s and early aughts are all out. And now it's like, it's super sad because there's always like one that hits the news like, oh, so-and-so died.
Yeah.
This guy, this legend's no longer with us anymore. And my first impulse whenever I see those headlines is like to text the two of you.
I know,
And to send you the link. Like, oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we could say it. Tony Ventrella just passed away over the weekend. 80 years old, was a kind of a legendary sportscaster in our market in the probably 80s through 90s.
He was still doing stuff with the Seahawks up until recently, right? Like
I don't
the Seahawks
think so.
Network or something.
No. You might be getting him mixed up with Paul Sylvie.
No, but Paul Sylvie's still doing it. But like the Seahawks,
Paul Sylvie, by the way, I work with his wife.
Oh, really?
And Paul's still doing it big time, baby.
Yeah,
That dude's still
but
doing it.
Tony, the Seahawks posted some like montage of him doing a bunch of, I don't know what years it was, but it was definitely like the Super Bowl years. That was like one of the years he was still like plugged into it.
Yeah,
but I think it was like for like Seahawks.com or something
Well,
like that.
I said, I know that he was doing like commercials and things like that because the last time I saw him, I was like, oh man, I haven't seen him in a while. He looks old. Well, first of all, he was 80, like when he passed, so this had to be.
He looked pretty good for 80,
he looked
man.
good. Yeah, I, when I said he looked old, it was like I hadn't seen him since, I don't know. You know, you remember him in the way that you always remember him when you would see them all the time in the 90s or the early 2000s. Totally. Then I saw him again. I was like, oh man, he's looking old. Nowhere did I think anywhere near 80. Not to say like God bless if you're 80 listening to this, you know, but it just didn't seem like he would. I don't know, but now you think of it, we're pushing 50. So I mean, Christ, these guys had to be like in their 30s when we, you know, or whatever. But yeah, it's so true. Like, and so many of them have passed. That's the other weird thing is like I've ended up somehow working with a ton of them.
I was gonna say you somehow like Luke has done some, but I feel like you've done even more like working with like that whole era of celebs.
When I say work with them, I mean like in the same building. But you know, at least a hand, like 2 or 3, like pretty closely. I mean, like
working. One of the Ken Schramm,
Ken Schramm,
got fucking legend. Like you produced one of his shows, right?
Yeah.
So knew
him well. Schramm on the street. God bless, man.
Schrammies. Yeah. You have a Schrammy.
I have a Schrammy.
You got a Schrammy.
He gave. So he would give out a bobblehead of himself holding a coffee because that's how everybody knew him from his commentary that he did called Schramm on the Street, and he would talk about, you know, I don't know what would it be. He would give a Schrammy to a local politician or something for making the wrong choice. Like it
was always like some sort of ridiculous, like, can you believe that the whatever, you know.
Like they didn't have enough snow plows, and they decided to no longer salt the streets because it's bad for the environment. And so we had like one winter where it was like gridlock because it was like a meltdown when it really shouldn't have been. And I think it was like Mayor Nichols, and so Mayor Nichols got a Schrammy. Right?
I feel like it would always go to somehow the Washington State ferry system.
Sure,
I feel like that was always a Schrammy involved.
And the
with
thing
those
was,
guys.
is he had a closet full of these things at work. They had like 1,000 of them sitting there, and then when he'd give them out, he would deliver them to the place, and it was this, you know, around town it became this thing that was just like, it was like, ah, shit, I got a Schrammy, but also like, that's pretty fucking cool. I got a Schrammy, you know? Yeah. And when he retired, he gave one to Anita for marrying me. So, yeah, I have it.
Genius.
I have it.
So good.
I have it up in our like little movie room or whatever, sitting on the shelf still. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. When we were texting about this earlier this week, I was like, we have to be the last Gen X has got all kinds of shit going on with it in terms of like last things. All right. Like I feel like we went through like, the list could go on. That's a whole nother episode. That's actually, it's this entire fucking podcast.
It is.
But like,
it's, you know, video stores and whatever it is. It's just all these weird things.
Cassette tapes and CDs and whatever, Laserdisc.
Physical media, period. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, we have to be one of the last generations that had like there aren't local celebrities anymore. Like who's a local, like, I don't feel like there's the same, there may be local celebrities, but there's not the same, like if you could go into elementary school and say Steve Poole, and literally everyone in the school would know who you're talking about.
Although I will push back on that a little bit, because usually your household was one of the big 3 network households, right? So you either watched the ABC affiliate, the NBC affiliate, or the CBS affiliate, and then you had your wacky sort of like one-offs like Channel 11. But your parents...
Where were you? What house were you?
We were a Como household.
We're a Como house. Through and through. ABC, absolutely.
ABC and Como, which was the local ABC affiliate. And so all these people that were basically rattling off here, Schramm, Kathy Gertson, Dan Lewis, Steve Poole, Eric Johnson, they're all Como people, right? And Blaine Beecham's household was a King 5 household.
Oof. You know what? The King 5, I could tell their sets were cheaper.
I thought
somehow the camera they were using was like lower quality.
Very
somehow.
Dark. The set was
very dark. There was a lot of smoking on that set. I feel like the Como set was nice and bright and blue and like very modern looking.
Yeah, I agree. And I can't tell you fuck all about Cairo TV, which was our CBS.
I think they had Rabel over there.
They had
right?
Steve Rabel, who's the voice of the Seahawks.
Yeah, he's a legend.
You know, he is a legend. And who's the other one? She became the head of the GOP in the Washington State. What was her name? Blonde anchor.
Oh man, I don't know.
She was like, so I mean, I kind of knew them. Just you'd go over to your friend's house, you'd have whatever weird smelling dinner they had, and then you would sit and watch their parents.
We're gonna have pizza. Oh great, you're gonna get Alfie's. You're gonna get a Domino's, a Little Caesars. No, I'm making square pizza.
Oh shit,
homemade square pizza.
Oh shit. So you'd eat the homemade square pizza with hot dogs on top, sliced up hot dogs instead of pepperoni.
And pepperoni, yeah.
And then you'd watch the King 5 News or Cairo News because they were, and you'd just be like, what sort of goddamn
it was like
bizarro world am I in right now?
It's like that scene in a movie where the person realizes they're like, oh, this is a cult, because like they're eating the square pizza with hot dogs and they're just like scarfing it down, just fucking loving it, and you're like, what is happening? This isn't good, guys. And then they have the weird news station on. You're like, this is bizarro world. You guys are brainwashed. You're in a cult.
So if you're on the playground, then most people knew most of the local celebrities, but you had typically like you were aligned with one specifically, and I most certainly was a Como kid. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. Absolutely. I don't like, what was it about, like, this is such a Northwest thing, but like, what was, like, Steve Poole was fucking beloved. Like, that dude ran the town, I feel like, for a bit. Like, he was,
for sure.
Yeah. Like, there was something about like his on-camera charisma, but it was like that dude could have run for like mayor.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what was weird is it wasn't like he was some sort of wacky dude or anything. No, he was just had like a coolness to him.
He was cool. He had a great smile. He just seemed like they didn't even do any like weird bits or anything with him.
Not that I can remember.
Like, yeah.
He told me one time too that we were talking. He said he used to, especially back in the 80s, he would get mistaken for Apollo Creed. What's his name? God rest his soul. God damn it. God damn.
Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what made me think of it? I had to think about Predator.
Yeah.
I thought about Predator, and Carl Weathers came to me. That's how I did that.
But he said like he would get into it with people on the street. Like, I'm not the dude from the movies, but I'm a local TV weather guy. You know, like, but they would be like, no, you're the guy from Predator or whatever.
You guys are from Predator.
Yeah. He did. I mean, they did look, their facial features, and I mean, Steve wasn't buff like Carl Weathers, but I could see how people would think, because he had that kind of cool swagger to him too. It's hard to explain. He just was like, yeah.
So what happens today? Like, I mean, I guess everybody just goes to the internet and you have your favorite YouTuber or something, right? And that's like your version of a celeb anymore.
I would assume so. Which is, it was very finite back in the day. You worked with what you got. Now you can open up something like YouTube and find, 27,000 dick bags doing something.
Oh, dude.
Right?
Have you ever looked at the stats of like how many hours of like content are being uploaded every minute to YouTube? Oh, it's insane.
I mean, look,
it's every minute like 20,000 hours gets uploaded or something like that.
I'm guilty, dude. Some nights I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to fuck around with YouTube tonight. I'm totally guilty.
I was, we didn't record the last couple weeks. We can get into all that, but one of the weeks I was at a work conference, and they had like these breakout sessions, and I went to like a breakout session that was led. It was about media and entertainment and technology and AI and whatever, right? And two of the panelists, one was a former TV executive, and he had worked at a gaming company. I won't say which one. Mm-hmm. And there was another guy on the panel that had worked at a number of different gaming companies, both like well-known, like big games, like especially recently big mobile games. But the TV executive guy was like really interesting because he's like, yeah, the way like movies and some of these things are going, because of all the user, like what the gaming communities realize, like all this like user-generated content is like, the kids and the players like it better than the corporate created stuff, because it's like more like it's not it's like, I guess like the Gen X stuff is like, oh, it's more real and authentic. We don't want that canned garbage. And so like all this user generated content is like, you know, like you said, you could spend, you know, like, I'm going to fuck around YouTube tonight. I'm not going to watch a movie or TV. But that's where things are going. And the TV executive guy said, he's like, yeah, there's a version of like TV and movies today that just turned into like what going to the live theater is. Like you go for it for the art.
Oh yeah.
But like where people go for mass entertainment is just like you just go on YouTube or you go on all this like user generated stuff and that's what you watch normally. And if you want to feel artistic, then you watch like you go to like a special place to go watch a movie or something, right? Like it's being sort of like the content's being eaten up that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's kind of true. But I would like the local celebrity thing is too. Like, man, if you grew up wanting to be like, man, I want to be a newscaster. I don't know if anybody would ever do that, but a lot of people went into communications, wanting to like be in like news and broadcasting and stuff. But like, oof, like
you know, I think
it's going to be an AI robo person, like all generated or something.
That's what I said on our chain, because I'm like, they will do it. Like the second that it's convincing enough. Because at the point where you're saying like, hey, I don't even know if there are local celebrities anymore.
Yeah.
Most of the time, what's going on is like these guys that we know, and obviously they're getting older now, but their contracts are massive at this point. And the business has changed to the point where they're just like,
there's not as much money in it anymore.
There's not as much money in it. Is it worth us less eyeballs watching this shit, less people caring about? Because clearly, you know, these big stars aren't retaining the people, the viewers or whatever, right? So it's like they just kind of crunch the numbers, and then, you know, or they say like, hey, we can't resign you for your contract, we can't re-sign you at that, and you know, let's work. And then oftentimes these bigger stars or whatever end up just going like, well, I'm getting close to retirement anyways, and you know, do I really want to do this much longer? And if I'm going to do it for a pay cut, and I could probably just retire now. I think that's a lot of it. I don't know for sure. I think that's a lot of it. And then once that happens, they're not interested in really building a new version of them, because they don't want them, I don't think, to really become a celebrity or a local celebrity, because then they'll still demand more money, right? It's this weird thing where you see a constant turnover now of like faces, or at least young, newer faces on a lot of that local news and stuff like that.
Why would you like, given where the internet and like public scrutiny is at, I'll go back in the 90s, if you didn't like Steve Poole, you would just like, or whoever, Dan Lewis or whatever, you'd just be watching with your buddies like, I can't stand that guy. Now, I'm sure if you're like, and actually I have a kind of a friend of a friend, she was on like Q13 here locally, and she got out of it. I think it was just too much. It was like too overwhelming, the amount of like just internet like what's the word, vitriol?
Yeah, I mean,
just sort of just like constant, just like, oh, is she pregnant? Or she looks like she's put on weight? Blah blah. I just constant barrage of that stuff, and that who is built for that at all anymore?
Yeah,
like. You just like
I guess the people that are coming up through YouTube and social media and stuff, because that's all they get, and they're just like,
I guess,
you know,
but like there's a certain like on TV, I don't know, like YouTube, maybe you go and expect.
I'm just saying like the comment section on YouTube, or you know, you're usually people that are on YouTube are active on social media, so they're just constantly dealing with this stuff anyways. But I'm saying like if you're somebody. Back in the day, especially, you'd get letters written into the station, and
probably
maybe they'd pass it along to you, but probably wouldn't. You know, if the desk person got mail for them, I don't know though. They would hand it to them, and then they would, you know. But it's like it's just so weird now. It's all very public. Everything's very public. Like, you know, they'll put up something on a website where it's like her doing a report on something that's happening locally, and like you said, the comment section is just shredding her for the dress she's wearing, and you know how she, you know how, you know, gross she looks in it or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Did you ever know? Did this? I'm trying to. I know this happened to me once with a kid that like we went to like the same like church youth group or whatever. His name was Tristan, and it was like, dude. Tristan was on Northwest Afternoon.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Always like you like tell your story of when you're on Northwest Afternoon. Yeah, I went on, And then they're at a thing, they're talking about like heavy metal, and I like asked a question about like why they don't like heavy metal. I was like, oh man, that's sick, bro. Like that was just like it was just a legend. Everybody knew about it. Oh yeah, Tristan was on Northwest
guys,
Afternoon.
this is Tristan. Hey, you know Tristan yet? Dude, he was on
Tell him the Northwest Afternoon story.
Yeah, tell him the Northwest
so they're doing a thing on heavy metal, if it's satanic, and I asked a question about it. Like it's just like
no, that's funny that you said it, because my coworker Mike, he was on with Shram on what's the Sunday one that he did?
Shoosh, I have no idea.
Oh, come on, where he would be like Phil Donahue walking through the crowd taking questions.
Oh,
Shram,
yeah, they did that.
God damn
it was like Sunday evenings, like
Sunday
early evenings or something.
Yeah, it was like Phil Donahue. It was like a local Phil Donahue, and it was Shram, and Luke would know it. God damn it!
Town hall?
Town meeting, yeah.
Town meeting?
Yeah.
Town meeting?
Yeah,
Town
town
hall?
meeting.
Yeah.
I believe town hall, town meeting is what it was.
Yeah.
And they would do, this one was, I think it was like violent video games.
Of course, it's always that. I'm not kidding. I think the thing that dude Tristan was on was like satanic heavy metal music.
Of course, yeah.
It was like total like Satan parent, like whatever they call that, the satanic panic.
Yeah,
stuff
satanic
in the 90s.
panic in the 80s and 90s. Yeah. And Mike was like, you're like, hey, who likes these games? Who's playing these games? And you like raise his hand, and Shram comes over. Why do you like these games? I like the blood and the guts, and it's really cool when you rip their heads off. It's like I can't remember exactly what it was and what he was talking about, but it's so funny. Like if you're of a certain age in this area, it's like you either knew somebody. My younger brother Kurt was on like Cairo News because his classmate they were writing letters to soldiers in the first Gulf War.
Right.
And one of his classmates, the guy he was writing to, passed away in like combat. And the guy that my brother was writing letters to told my brother through their correspondence to let his classmate know what happened.
Crazy.
Yeah, isn't that's fucking wild. And we we recorded it on VHS. And it was this one, and then they had Kurt reading part of his letter, I think, if I remember correctly. But it was like, when aunts and uncles and everyone came up, it was like, oh, Kurt made the news, and you got to pop in.
That was a big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
That's so funny. Like in all that content, like I mean, other than the VHS copy that your family still celebrates, I'm sure every holiday season you throw it in. But like, all that content's gone, right? Like all those town halls, all the Northwest Afternoons, all that stuff is just like gone.
We had a guy at so I didn't work for the TV station Como. I worked for the radio station Como. Still sort of do, but not really. Like one of the stations here used to be Como, but it's not anymore. But when I worked in radio, it was in the same building as TV. But there was a guy there for the longest time who was like an archivist or whatever, right? He was because think about it, when they started in the, I don't know what time, when did local TV news start? Probably the
70s, 60s, 50s?
Yeah, I was going to say like 50s maybe.
They used to have that like time wall in your old building that was like the history of Como or something.
Yeah, they had all that. Yeah. But we had vaults in there that had, 16 millimeter film canisters because it was there long enough to where they didn't have video when they were going out doing taping news stories. I mean, I think a lot of the shit when I want to say when Mount St. Helens erupted was probably a lot of that was shot on film still. So wow. they had all this shit in this room, and so they had this one guy they would have something and they needed like footage, like, hey, let's remember when the mountain blew. He'd go in and have to he had it cataloged. He'd go and pull it. There was a lot of stuff where they were kind of trying to digitize a lot of this stuff and preserve it, but there's so much between, Betamax and 16 millimeter, and I think there's even like 35 millimeter. So you had all this stuff, and then what happens is that company gets sold to another company, and that new company doesn't really have, other than the fact that they bought this company with this history, they don't have really any sentimental attachment to that stuff. So yeah, there's a ton of that stuff that's just it's gone forever, basically.
That's crazy.
Did you see, like, most recently, I want to say it was a news station in, like, Minneapolis, Minnesota or somewhere around there. And I don't know if they're going through their archives trying to find something, and it was on film. And there's an interview with, like, an 8-year-old prince that nobody knew about. You can go online and watch it. And this guy was looking for, I don't know what the story was, but he was, like, combing through some shit. And he was like, God, is that who I think it is? And so then they had to do a bunch of, like, basically they didn't have the kid's name anywhere at this point anymore. And so they started doing all this. Okay, where was this? It was outside this elementary school. What year was it? Well, we think it was this year, around this month. And then sure enough, they did enough research to find out, yep, Prince went to that elementary school. He would have been this kid's age at that time. And if you watch it, there's no doubt that it's Prince. Like, you can tell.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it's wild. But, like, there's just shit like that that's just gone forever. I mean, I guess it's not that amazing, but it's kind of interesting, right?
No, it is like and this is like one of those episodes where it's like, oh, these guys are just talking about digital goddamn formats again.
Bullshit.
But I read an article recently, like all this stuff they've digitized on the hard drives and stuff, like they're losing a lot of that now. Like,
oh, no shit.
Yeah, because if a hard drive seizes up, like, and it can't spin, there's like almost apparently like very little, like it's very expensive or very almost impossible to like recover it. And like most of those things are like, magnetically encoded and stuff, right? So those things start to drift and it's like ones and zeros. So they got all the stuff they've digitized. That stuff doesn't last either. So like there's a whole next generation of stuff that's just going to be, there's no format essentially, film, tape, laser disc. There's nothing that actually lasts.
Yeah, but whatever new format you put it to, even if it's just digitizing on a hard drive, you've got to get it off there at some point, right? Like,
yeah, you have to keep backing it up over and over again. Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
What about a solid state drive, bro? What about that?
Those are also just like encoded, like magnetic ones and zeros.
We lose.
The mini disc, though. The mini disc they said is the best. The mini disc will last forever, is what they said. I don't know. I'm just telling you. It's non-linear.
You can only record over that 1,000 times. You can only re-record over.
You can't skip. It's got skip protection. You got skip protection. Yeah, we haven't recorded that. I was at a work conference, and then my kid was at a sleepaway camp, so I was like solo parenting, and then. Christ Almighty, I don't know. You were on a European vacation with the Griswolds.
That what's crazy.
A lot of boobs in that movie, if I recall. The sequel. Yeah. Is that a blue it yet? Have they blown they've done the blues on the European vacation?
We have not, but that is actually a good idea because I think I've only seen that movie maybe like once in my life.
I've only seen it once too, and I think it was in theaters, and I think it was like sorely disappointed, like very disappointed coming out of that. But I do recall having seen in theaters that there's a lot of like topless women in it.
Yeah, they go to like Oktoberfest.
An Oktoberfest. Yeah. Yes, that's exactly. I have no other recollection of any other thing in that movie other than that. I think that's that. And then there's something.
Yeah, you do. Those aren't the same kids.
Oh yeah, those are definitely not the same kids.
That's like that. That's the first thing I noticed when I know we rented it, and I was like, these aren't the same kids. Couldn't get over that, and then it not being as funny. Something was just off about it, and then boobs.
Well, they shot it on PAL.
Right. Yeah. Then boobs, and so
then boobs. Something with small hotel rooms and small cars that went over my head. I didn't totally get. Yeah. It wasn't good.
No, but that would be actually a really good you blew it because of those vacation movies. That one's like really forgotten. I mean, obviously they got some bullshit that came out straight to video or whatever, but like most people go, the first one, Christmas Vacation, the Vegas one is just like absurd and just like, wow, this is what this has become. But no one ever talks about European Vacation. Like nobody.
Nope.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. That's one actually like, like for the tagline, you can't believe they blew it. I would be shocked if that one's on Blu-ray.
Oh, me too. Yeah, that's a good point.
Because it's such a garbage film that's just like just nobody cared about. Even in the 80s, when you go to the video store and you're like, there's not that many choices here. The European Vacation, nope, not going to do it.
No,
can't trick me into that.
No, for sure. But it is one of those movies where that, if I will say one thing about Blu-ray, and this is like why we did do the show, is like so much garbage and trash has come out on that format. It's insane. Like there is stuff that skipped DVD and is out on Blu-ray, and I have no idea why. It's like, and maybe it's like kind of these people that are also like, hey, we've got to put this to a newer format to try and save it, because I think a lot of that's going on too. But like you said, that's not going to be forever either. So, but
no, right? Well, yeah, you're like just like us. You know, the Russian hackers are going to get in, delete all our episodes. So it happens, guys. It happens.
But yes, I was on a.
You got Putin in there. He's got some North Korean soldiers now, like trying to take down our podcast.
That's the reason why they're joining forces, is because of Stack and Dimes.
Well, we said some shit back in episode 7 that like they were like, oh, that can't get out. We got to delete that one. They did a whole psyops on us.
No, but to your point, yes, I was on a European vacation for a little over 2 weeks, and we had You Blew It done, episode 100, which was Time Cop, which finally came out. But I had it done before I went on vacation. But was you know how it is when you're trying to get shit all lined up before you leave for a long time, that it was just like I just couldn't find the time to put the damn thing out.
Right.
And then I get back and I get COVID for the first time.
But you haven't had it before.
Never had it.
Oh, what a treat for you.
It wasn't.
That's a delight.
It was fine. It was like a bad cold, I think, at this point with shots and whatnot. It's like
I was gonna say, you're all juiced up with the 5G. That helped you.
Got nanobots coursing through my veins.
Yes, they were nanobots.
So that shut me down for a couple of days, and then Roden wasn't available. You weren't available. It was like a round robin of like, well, I'd text you, and then you'd be like, I can't do it this week, but maybe next week, and then something would happen with me, and then I would be like. Oh, it's just, geez.
Somebody asked me, and maybe this is why it came up, how these, it just gets out there. It's just out there. But like,
just gotta know where to find it.
Some of the other like dads and stuff, like of like soccer team in school and stuff. Like, I think did I tell you that there's I won't name drop anybody on here. I won't like out people. There's like another mom that like has a kid that goes to our school, so like knew about Stack of Dimes and stuff. But I got asked about it. I think it was literally last weekend by another dad. He's like, "You still doing that podcast?" I was like, "Oh yeah, we do it now and then." And maybe he was asking because it's been so goddamn long. Right. It doesn't register to me because I feel like we do it so infrequently anyways. I'm like, yeah, it's just been a couple weeks. But then when we got on, you're like, no, it's been 2 months, dude.
It's been something crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a listener, Nate. He says, I appreciate You Blew It, but I'm missing my SOD. Hope to see a new episode pop up soon. Well, Nate, here you go.
There you go, Nate.
Yeah, your dreams are coming true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dreams do come true. You got to have it. How's that song go?
I don't know.
You got to be strong.
So, and I'm bacheloring it. My wife is, she's her family lives over there, so and she can work. Her work allows her to, she can work from Croatia is where she's at.
They haven't RTO'd her yet back from Croatia, but yeah, okay.
So, but she returns this weekend. So as you can imagine, I've been doing all sorts of productive things.
I'm sure.
You name it, I'm doing it. You name it.
I would bet you're spending most of your time in the virtual world, in the VR world.
I am not. I'm not. I'm spending a lot of my time at work, which seems to be a lot lately. So, late nights here. It
is a busy season for you in the news radio biz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, every now and then I get out to get blindingly drunk. Which I was telling you, I went and met that guy at Touchdowns, a local bar, to watch some UFC a couple weeks back. Watched the gentleman get a full beer poured on top of his head.
Did you see what?
And I sharted twice later that night. That's another.
What?
I sharted twice later that night. while at the urinals, trusting my farts. Bad idea. Bad idea.
Never trust them.
Yeah. Bad. Very bad idea. But luckily it was in the bathroom. So
twice.
Both times. Both times.
Huh.
Yeah. So
Well, 3 times a lady.
The only other time I've sharted in my life was with you and your Audi TT.
That's the only time?
The only time. Many times I thought I had, but then discovered, oh, you know what? Just tricked myself. As a phantom
dude.
shart. Tricked myself.
I'm good for a shart at least once a quarter. At least.
No, I've somehow it's eluded me. Yeah.
No, it's probably.
What?
Yeah, I'll give it a quarter. This working from home thing, though, really like that comes in handy.
Sure, I bet it does. Yeah.
When you're playing with fire, when you're like, I think I can. Oh, nope, that was not a good choice. I need to do a BR. Get on my Zoom or whatever team chat. BRB, guys. Somebody's at my door. BRB. And then,
oh shit. Yeah, we were watching this UFC and the UW game was going on at the same time. And they were playing, I think it was the Michigan game. Is that right?
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. That was a big game. And there's winning. Yeah.
2 ladies sitting at the bar in front of us who were watching that, were there for that. And then there's 2 guys next to us at a table who were there for the fights. And they were showing both. But when the pay-per-view portion came on, they flipped the audio over to the fights because they fucking pay for it. The bar pays a lot of money for it. And the UW game's on, I don't know what was on, like King 5 or something, or Como. I don't even know, whatever it was. It was like a local station. And the game was like they were ahead at this point, and it looked like they were going to wrap it up, right? It looked like they were probably going to win. And so they flipped it over. And this lady kept yelling at like the bar staff, like, why'd you turn the audio off? And she was a little drunk. And so the guys next to me had kind of had exchanges all night, like she was, one of those people that yells a bunch of stuff at the bar or whatever. That's like that's not a, that's not a, I don't know, yelling at it, but yelling it to the bar. Right. And so people are, or like, they should have thrown the flag on that. And then some other guy was like, yeah. And then she'd turn around and go like, yeah, they should have thrown the flag, right? So she was doing a lot of that. And the guys next to me a couple of times had an exchange with her. Nothing like, just like talking about maybe something that happened in the game. And then, so then they changed the audio and she's yelling. It's like, there's like a girl and a guy bartender. And she's yelling at the girl like, what? Why'd you change the audio? She's like, okay, no, I'll check. I don't know what's going on. I'll check. And so then she goes over and she's like talking to the other bartender. And then this woman like turns to her friend. She's like, she's got to go ask the man for permission. And so she's like, why is not? And so finally the table next to me, and I kind of said it too. I was like, it's a pay-per-view. It's a UFC bar. They paid for it. That's free.
Yeah.
She didn't look at me. Thankfully, I didn't say it very loud. But then the table next to me, after her asking 50 million more times and like berating the girl behind the bar, like basically like, are you not listening to me, sort of thing. And so finally, the one dude goes, they pay for the fights. You can watch the UW game free at home. And she like gets up and walks over to the table. And now this dude's like, kind of like got his hands up in the air. He's like, hey, I'm just kidding with you. I'm just joking with you. And she's like, that's the second time you've mansplained something to me tonight.
Oh boy.
And he's like, okay, whatever. And then, and I can't remember what he said. It was, God damn it. He said something. And then she was like, oh, you're being a little bitch is what she said. And he's like, okay, or whatever. And then she just grabbed the beer and dumped it on his head.
Wow.
Which was, and like beer went everywhere. And he was like, everyone in the bar was like, what the fuck just happened?
Wow.
And it was like from a goddamn movie. And so then he immediately was like, are you kidding me? And she's like, no, I'm not. And then she goes and sits down. And then like the bar staff like is kind of looking over and he's like, did you see just what she just did? And so then they come over and they're like, you got to close out and all this stuff. And It was
Did she throw a tantrum when they made her like close out and leave?
No, she like closed out and then she like left, and the game wasn't even over yet. But they had, and she left, and then this was the I think the odder part was the friend she was with stayed at the bar, and then the fights started up. Now the pay-per-view's like in full swing.
Yeah.
And then at some point, so imagine this, she's sitting at the bar looking up at a television. But if she turns directly around, it's a sports bar. There's another television showing the exact same thing directly behind her on the wall behind us.
Sure.
So at some point, I don't know if she's drunk or what, she spins around and is watching the TV behind us, but staring kind of at that table of guys that had the interaction with her friend. And I'm just kind of watching going like, this is weird. And the guys are getting uncomfortable because you're like, is she... I can kind of hear him like,
are you mad dogging me?
Yeah, like what the hell? And then finally, after like 5 or 10 minutes of this, she gets up and walks over to the table, and I'm just like, what is gonna fucking happen now?
Right.
And she's like, are you from Seattle? And one of the guys was like, yeah. And then the other guy, she's like, are you? And he's like, well, yeah, I moved here like 10, 15 years ago or whatever. She's like, where are you guys from? Spokane. Oh, so am I. So then they have this whole conversation about, where'd you go to school in Spokane, this, that, and the other thing. They get going. Now they're just buddying up for like 10 minutes. And then finally, at some point, she's like, you were wrong with my friend. What you did was wrong. And they're like, sorry, come again? You're like, that whole thing with my friend, you're in the wrong, right? I'm like, oh, boy. And now they start like legislating this again.
Oh, God.
It was just the most bizarre shit in the world. And then finally, like, I'm kind of in on it because I'm like, lady, look, she was yelling at everybody. Like,
lady.
Enough. I'm like, she was kind of yelling out to the entire bar. People were playing along because she's yelling things out at this point. And there's no reason for her to dump a beer on somebody. Like, that's ridiculous. And she's like, well, I guess we just see it wrong or whatever. And then she kind of like walked away for a little bit and came over and then slammed her like empty beer down on my table.
What?
It was weird. And then she like left the bar, and then the two guys at the table next to me, one dude was like, she's teaching your kids, ladies and gentlemen.
She was a teacher?
She's a school teacher. She just told us. And he was like, I think she was trying to, like, I think she came over and was broing down with us, and then was like trying to give us a learning experience, maybe.
Oh, like she was trying to like, hey, like I'm on the same side of the table as you, and now I'm going to teach you. I'm going to give you some motherly advice or something.
It was odd, man. The whole thing was like, it's just like, what is going on? People are so high strung now, dude. I don't. Yeah,
wild. I was just thinking that. I think I told you this story, and if I told it on the podcast, I'm sorry, but I think I told you this story. I'm like coaching my kids' soccer team, and we like won a game.
No, you didn't. I think I know what story is. You didn't tell me on the podcast. You just told me.
I told you, but like, and then like it took me forever to like pick up all the stuff and milling about, get like coordinating kids and blah blah. It's like a half hour after the game, we won like 2-1 or 5-1 or something. I don't remember what the score was. It was like, even though it was a closer game, it was like 2-1 because it would have been tied otherwise. And it's like a half hour, 40 minutes after the game. Like I've said, like, like good game to the other coaches and stuff. And we've like kind of talked a little bit. And then it's like 30 minutes after that, I'm leaving the field. I happened to be by myself because my kid was going home with another family. And I hear, coach. And it's like this woman coach on the other team. That last goal you scored didn't count, right? I was like, what? Sorry? Yeah, you were offsides. So that goal didn't count. I was like, well, no, I was like, honestly, I didn't see it. I was like, and I wasn't bullshitting either. It was like, when I'm doing this coaching, most of the time I'm like half the time I'm dealing with kids on the sideline.
Yeah. Like
trying to figure out what they're doing. I was like, honestly, I didn't even see the goal happen. I just kind of like when they cheered.
And you take the word of the
I was like, I didn't even see the goal happen. Well, it was offsides. Do you coach offsides? I was like, yeah, they know what offsides are, but like they're kids. It's like,
Yeah.
Like, by the way, like most adults can't explain offsides. So
yeah, right. Yeah.
And she's like, will you coach offsides? Because that goal shouldn't have counted. So it was a tie. And I was like, well, you got to play the whistle. And I just like turned around and walked away. And I was like, I was just like, I'm just gonna, and I was just basically just kind of grin fucking her, just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever, yep. Well, play the whistle. That's a good lesson. And I just like I'm done. I'm not entertaining this anymore. But I was like, why do you gotta like, they're 10-year-olds. Like, give me a break. You got to be like, no, that was that goal didn't count. Like, give me a break, lady.
I remember now what...
Like, 99% of the game, they're out of, like, they could blow the whistle for some sort of, like, a foul, right?
Yeah.
Because they're 10.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing.
Course.
It's like it'd be like going to a 10-year-old's basketball game. You know they traveled, right?
I was just going to say that.
You know there's a double dribble.
Yeah,
like,
that was
yeah,
a
of course there was.
Yeah.
They're 10.
That's... They finally have started dribbling. What are you talking about? Like, before that, we didn't even, you know.
Yeah, it was just, but that sort of high strung, like, you're really going to, like confront me like 30 minutes after the game of like a perceived, like a missed call? Like, what world are you living in? This is not a collegiate sport. Like, even in the NFL, it's like, you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
Hey, coach, you know that there should have been pass interference, right? Right, Mike McDonald? Yeah.
I remember what it was that really set her off now, because she, you know, he had said, like, you know, they pay for it over, and she's like, you know, yeah, I get it or whatever. And then she's like, goes back to yelling at the bar staff. She's like, I'm trying to watch the game. And he's like, you are watching the game. Because she was. There's just no audio. And that's like she got up and came over and was like, I was like, oh boy. That was the one that like really set her off for some reason. So, yeah, good times. Just, you know, doing shit like that, really getting a lot done. You know, that's what I do, getting a lot done.
Man of the community.
You know, eating healthy, always. You know, that's what I. You know, ever since my wife left town, it's just I've just really been going to a lot of the local farmers
salads,
markets.
Maybe a smoothie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, farmers
markets. I go and load up every weekend, and I'm just, you know, it's just amazing. It's just amazing what I'm doing. I have VR'd a little bit, but not a whole lot. That's about it.
You should you should have had a ton of free time. You should have been. You should be shredded by now, bro. Mm-hmm. You should have just been like cranking up the CNC Music Factory, hitting the heavy bag. Mm-hmm. Maybe a Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Practicing my Gouda sticks.
Yeah, feeling
all
the
of
vibration.
That. Yeah, all of that.
Like hanging upside down from like the rafters in your place, just like doing like sit up, like maybe.
Played bingo with the Eagles, so raising money for some worthy causes.
That is also part of the training montage, playing bingo with the Eagles.
Yeah.
At one point, you're just chopping a log up with like your bare hands, and the next part of the montage, you're at the Eagles winning bingo, just crushing it.
Yep.
Like,
with the beer and a side sipper. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's Time will really get away with you sometimes. It'll get away from you. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's I hate to be an old person, but boy, time as you get older just fucking flies, dude.
Oh man, Steve Miller had it right, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Oh shit.
Shoosh.
Son of a bitch. Well, hey everybody. We're back, sort of. I mean, who knows? The next episode that we do could be 2 months from now. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, next one we'll talk about that Steve Miller album. I don't know. Maybe. Was he a local celebrity? Is that why that album was so big? Was that
I always
big
wondered
everywhere?
That. I always
album, everyone I knew owned that CD.
Oh, for sure.
In high school.
The blue best of.
Blue CD with the horse.
On the front. Mm-hmm.
Did they have any album other than a best of? Did they have other albums?
As far as I'm concerned,
or was it
no.
was it just the best of? Like, that would be a pretty clever thing for a band, just to release one album as just the best of.
Yeah.
You're like, well, it's the best of their stuff. And like, no, that's the only one they have. But was that album as big and ubiquitous in other like states in our country, in other cities?
I don't know.
In Washington State, literally every kid in the 90s owned that CD.
Yes, we had this discussion about how, like, I think in our school annuals or yearbooks, like, they would have the top 10 albums of that year, and that was like, I think maybe for all 4 years of our high school experience, it was in the top 10, I swear to God.
Yeah.
And it was in my older brothers as well. And all that shit's from like the 70s, right? It's like from
I have no
early
idea.
70s, I think.
Again, I don't think I'm kind of half joking. I don't think they have another album other than the best of album.
And like,
I'd be shocked.
I think their most recent hit on that was like Abracadabra, which is like from like 1981 or something, you know. Abracadabra.
That's a good song.
Yeah.
All those songs are solid, man.
Yeah.
But like, if you could go back to 1994 right now, and you could fly to like I don't know, goddamn Riverside, California, and look through a teenager's car, would that CD be in there?
Good question.
I don't think it would.
Because he was a local guy, right? I mean,
yeah, I feel like that's a very hyper local, like the internet didn't exist, and somehow that became just huge in this area. I don't know.
Yeah, you got me. All I know is that he shows up on these like, yeah, I know he's been on a lot of these tours where it's like, hey, it's Def Leppard with, I don't know, what was the most recent one? It was like Def Leppard and I forget who, and then like he'll open, the Steve Miller Band is opening. It's like, I want to say that just came through here, didn't it? When I was leaving for,
I don't know. Yeah,
for Croatia, they played T-Mobile. It was like Def Leppard. God bless, I can't think of the other band, and then like I think Steve Miller was on there as well. Crazy.
Sure. You say so. I have not gone down the way. Here's the thing about like also growing up in the night. I haven't gone down a Steve Miller Wikipedia rat hole. And I kind of don't want to because I kind of want the mystique of the 90s. Yeah, I just want it to be like when I was in the 90s. Like,
just leave it the way it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Why mess with it?
I like my imagination version better. If I actually know, I'll be like disappointed. Anyways, that's a good way to cap it on local celebs.
What do we got here? Summer Stadium 2024. Let's look at this.
Don't do it. I don't want to know.
You're going to get it. You're going to get it here. No, I'm not. I can't click on any of this. It's all gone. It's all gone. Yeah, so that's that, right? I mean, I guess what do you want from us? What do you want from us? Are you scribbling on something? Are you writing on something?
No.
Or is it
my mic? Is my mic might be rubbing on my like
tickling
my
your lapel or something? Your goddamn
my lapel, my 3-piece suit.
Yeah, your fucking your butterfly collar or whatever you got going on there. Come on.
No, I got I apologize for that. That's amateur hour shit. We haven't done this in a while. It's rubbing on my hoodie probably.
Yeah. Yeah, well, shit. I think that about covers it. Sorry, everyone. What do you want from us?
This was a banger of an episode.
Yeah,
people are going to be talking about this. People are going to be talking about this one for ages.
Yeah. Yeah, man, dude. Thunder finally sharded again. Yeah, dude, twice in one night, man. It's he's back. I mean, Thunder's back.
He hasn't done it. He hasn't done it in like 20 years.
He hasn't talked about shitting or pooping or farting in so long. I mean, he's back, man. Yeah, I feel like I'm back.
You need one of those. We got like a tushy here. We got like one of those strap-on bidets.
Sure,
that's what you need.
Sure. Well,
I'll give you one of those for your birthday.
Wouldn't have done me any good at touchdowns. So. Yeah.
I mean, you can never pour one of those beers down the back of your pants. You pour one back down there. Need to clean out some. And
trust me, if you know what touchdowns is, formerly the Viking, you really don't ever want to have to put your ass on one of those turlet seats there. But when it's dire straits like what was going on, I mean, I mean, look, I don't know if you've had many of these emergencies, but there is a sort of thing where, like, I don't know, if you've got your faculties about you and you're like, hey, I don't know, I could probably, if I sat down and grunted, I could probably poop right now. And then you go into a bathroom, you look at it and you're like, nope, not doing that here. We'll just let this one simmer and see. We'll let this one simmer and try my best, But when you're in a situation where like, oh, snap, I got to take care of this. I don't know if someone had just cleaned the joint or what. The bigger stall, the
handicap stall kind of.
You
the
can't say handicap
stall
anymore.
Yeah.
What is it? The
ADA. It's like the ADA stall. Yeah.
Was destroyed. I went in and it was like all of the urinals are used, all this other toilet, and I'm like, okay, this one guy's standing here. He's not going to use this other stall. I opened it up and I'm like, oh my God, I could see why this guy's not using this stall.
It's the Aaron Roden, someone murdered a butthole.
Someone murdered a butthole, but it was like black tar. It was like, seriously, not even like, it was black. And like, I go like, did someone just dump like they just had a fire out back and they just threw the charcoal in there?
Did somebody eat a bunch of squid ink? Did they have like a...
Yes. It's like squid ink risotto.
Totally,
shit,
that's what I was thinking of.
Disgusting, man.
That's some squid ink.
It was exactly like that. I go, what is fucking happening? Little did I know, my next trip in there was going to be in like Dire Straitsville, and I was like, boy, I hope this other one is not like that other one. And it was pristine. Beautiful. Beautiful. Looked like someone just cleaned it. So,
oh, wonderful. Good for you.
So, real good experience. I'm back, baby. Woo! I still got it. Woo!
Congratulations.
All right, man. Until next time. So, thanks, everybody. See ya, pal.
Adios.
So I said, look, I got to get going. I'm walking back to the hotel. I get 3/4 of the way out of the lobby, and all of a sudden I go, oh, fuck. And I'm standing here like this. I got my butt pinched so fucking... I'm fucked. I can't move. All of a sudden, felt all right. I went just like this. Water.
No way.